Hey,
Welcome back,
hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Technically Disoriented. I'm Hunter.
Brian. That's
No,
me.
no, I'm Brian. No.
I said that's me.
Okay, all right, fair enough. He specified. Okay,
Listen, I'm trying to do something different. Okay, I don't know what's
we're
happening.
mixing it up. We still don't really have a super catchy intro nailed down.
No, you're
so
right.
We'll get
You're
there
right.
one day. So this part will be, I think, will be a little bit briefer, but
Do you think though?
it's me, so no. But
Okay, here we go.
we're gonna talk about Unity charging. I don't remember what the actual name of their fee was, but it essentially made it so that once you hit a certain amount of downloads, that they would all cost you a certain amount. And I
Yeah,
think I read that they could be up to 20 cents per
yeah,
download in some situations,
yeah.
which doesn't seem like a lot. Which is probably why the executives at Unity thought that they could get away with that. But that is definitely a lot for people who have already made the game and already spent the money that they've made from the game.
Right.
you know, so
Either making downloadable content or
yeah,
another game or
yeah.
whatever.
So basically, we need to preface that neither of us are industry experts on this particular thing. We just are gamers ourselves and tech people, and we're thinking about it. So tell me, Brian, what do you think?
Um, I I think it's dumb. I think it's really dumb. I think it's really, 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 really uninformed as to who your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that game studios are already paying you license fees to develop games and sell them on the platform. To think that you're going to be able to uh, do this for every time that a game gets downloaded by someone. Number one, how are you going to track it? Because my machine crashes, I don't know, once a year or whatever, and I got to reinstall it and re-download all my stuff. So what are you going to do to make that a thing? Are you going to make
Is it
Steam or Epic track it?
Yeah, is it by
Like,
purchase or is
is
it
it
by
by is it by
download?
purchase? Is it by
Yeah.
download? Like, what specifically is it that you're talking about related to how you think you're going to get your 20 cents? And then ultimately, who ends up paying for that extra fee? The consumer. The game studio is definitely not going to cover that cost. They're going to make the game more expensive for you, or they're going to put
Yeah.
more microtransactions in there to cover the cost, or the microtransaction is going to be more expensive, or like whatever. And it just breeds bad behavior for game studios. And then there was talk or rumors about them going back and charging people that have already developed games on the
Oh,
platform.
that was why
That
they.
was like a wildly debated topic. Like there was a ton of people that were like, I made a free to play game. It's been downloaded 7 million times or whatever. I would owe you guys more money than I've ever made.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like
the thing. Like, I believe it was Cult of the Lamb. Is kind of a roguelike sort of game. I haven't played it, but I've actually thought about playing it a couple times. I had some friends that played it, and I heard that they were gonna just straight up delete their game before the thing took effect, so that it wouldn't they wouldn't have to do
yeah,
it.
so they wouldn't have
Like
to.
they were just straight up gonna nuke their game off of the internet, so that
Yeah,
they didn't have to pay it. And I
yeah.
was like,
And then what's
dude,
the time frame? You're gonna go back and charge anybody that's ever
that was that was
like
the deal.
anybody that's ever developed a game on any version or release of the engine then gets charged money for every download that's ever occurred.
That was gonna be the deal. I did read.
So the licensing that you're charging doesn't seem to be paying, or did they not charge licensing fees? If AAA studios are
They do
developing
they do
in
have a
Unreal,
plan.
like there's no license
No,
cost.
they do have plans. There's like a solo or like a small time sort of plan where you can use Unity, and then there's like a mid tier and then like an enterprise
Yeah,
grade one
okay.
or whatever.
Right.
And what they have done, and I may need to check my facts on this, but it was just 2 days ago. I think it was on the 22nd. They finally got around to having an actual like all hands meeting. The CEO discussed stuff and said, okay, we're still going to do this, but it will not apply to certain tiers of the subscription. I believe it's the bottom two tiers. and it won't apply to old versions of Unity. Basically, like if you developed on an old version of Unity or if it's already out, it's already done unless you update that game to run on the new version of Unity.
But all of that sounds like a cash grab. That
It's
sounds like
completely a
that
cash
sounds
grab.
like somebody thinks that they're not making enough money by charging the studio for the thing, and now they want the consumer end of that.
Yeah.
Then start developing your own games.
No, this is 100%. This is 100%. The CEO bought a new yacht and said, "Oh, that yacht payment is a little higher
That's
than I
higher than I
going
thought
to
it was going to be.
Yeah.
The captain's salary was higher than I expected.
Yeah, bump it up. We got to pump these numbers up, fools."
That's dumb. That's super dumb. I think that that's a really uninformed. That sounds to me like the CEO or whoever's making these decisions did not understand who their consumer was.
Not at all.
Their consumer is unemployed humans in the basement of their mom's house. that is the bread and butter of the game industry.
Well, I actually
don't.
No, hold on. First off, that is an oversimplification, but
not that much.
But this is the actual thing. I actually don't think that it's as much the consumers that made as big of a stink about this as it is actually the game development companies, because it's greed not understanding greed. Because you think that the head of X stuff like Pokemon Go is developed on Unity, so you think the head of is it Niantic that developed Pokemon Go? You think that the CEO of Niantic is any less greedy than the CEO of Unity? When he saw that his profit margin was going to go down because Unity was going to start charging a fee, that was where the real outrage came from. Like they were like, whoa. We can't retroactively charge the customer more for the game, but you can retroactively charge us to develop it.
Yeah, but then they could just put a subscription model in.
I know.
You got to pay $3 a month to play Pokemon Go.
Yeah, but that's only for Pokemon Go, not for every game. What I'm saying here is that I think
everybody could do that. Every game studio that's ever developed a game.
Yeah, but if you're an indie studio, you can't get away with that kind of crap. Everyone would just literally just stop playing your game.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. The game developers were stuck in a situation where, like, I can't retroactively charge the consumer more without seriously tanking my game, right? But Unity was like, whoa, we've kind of got these game companies hostage. Like, what, are they going to delete their game? And some of them were like, yeah, we will. But they, they took that bet that these companies would just eat that cost and just say, well, sucks to suck. It's the price of doing business. But I don't know. What boggles my mind about this whole thing is that this was one of the biggest stinks, one of the biggest oopsie poopsies in the gaming industry of all time, let's say. Truly, right?
Probably.
How do you sit in a boardroom with all of the people? And by the way, this boardroom very likely included the actual people developing the game engine, right? This wasn't probably just a board of people with the money people, like the bean counters. There was very likely actual operational, VPs and stuff like that in this meeting, and they all okayed. Yeah, I think this will go over just fine. People will be grumpy about it for a minute, but you're going to be $1 richer, they're going to be $1 poorer, and nobody's going to care. Like, how did they possibly get through that meeting and still come to the conclusion that this was the way that things were going to have to be? Like, whenever some company makes some crazy announcement like this is what I wonder every time. Like, this is what all of the human race collectively decided was a dick move. How did you not realize that this was a dick move and that people were not going to accept that during your board meeting?
I think it's you don't know your audience. You don't know the people that are actually like
funding you.
Game developers write games so that people will buy the game or that people will download and play the game.
Yeah.
Like there are very few people out there in the world right now writing games just because they enjoy writing games. There's I can't think of a game studio out there that just is doing it for the love of gamers.
Really small studio, like really small indie studios.
But those are like the one-off people, right? There's very few people that are doing it for. So you don't know your crowd. The people that are running Unity right now do not understand their current population, and that's what I was trying to. That's the point I was trying to make. The population is people playing games in the basement of their home, wherever they live, or wherever in their office. Those are the people. Those are the people that are there that this is happening for. So if this is a thing that's going to happen, then game studios are going to have to make up the difference somehow. So the games are going to get more expensive, and then the consumer ultimately pays the main price for this process. And you're not wrong. It's a greed problem, but it's more a we do not understand our audience. I bet you people on the executive committee at Unity don't play games. They're there to run the business of games.
I can pretty much guarantee that.
Like nobody's playing whatever the current main Unity title is. No one's doing this on that team. And all they see is their relatives, kids, family members, friends, whatever, spending hours of time playing video games and thinking, how am I going to get more money for that amount of time being spent doing that thing? I think that's the whole reason why companies have started putting microtransactions in games.
No, it totally is.
Like in the last 4 months, 4 or 5 major games have come out, and which one has the gaming community loved more than any of the other ones?
Oh, in the last couple months?
Yeah.
I mean, probably Starfield. I mean,
Baldur's
semi.
Gate. Baldur's Gate, far and away. The game community
totally.
has enjoyed playing that game more than any other game.
My brain. You're totally right.
You're good. For the reason of it, like they made a game. They made a good game. It was a complete game when it was released. There was very few bugs in the game. Like all of those things that all the other
we haven't even talked about
YouTube presence people have said about that game. There's no microtransactions. You played the flat fee, and you played a great game, and it was fun.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet. I don't know. Was this while you were traveling? The studio came out and basically, like a whole bunch of game studios. It wasn't official. It was mostly like people on. I'm just gonna keep calling it Twitter. Screw X. A whole bunch of like the developers of other games, like from other studios, came out on Twitter and were like, gamers can't hold us to this regard. Basically, this game is too good. You can't hold us to this standard. And it's like,
we should.
Yeah, like hell we can.
Yeah,
like we totally can hold you that.
How about we just not buy your garbage unfinished game?
Yeah, but see, then you don't have anything new to play.
Like particularly a AAA studio. Like the standard should be a better, more functional game.
Yeah.
Like you said, Starfield, even Starfield doesn't support all resolutions of their game. And there's no actual reason. Like there's no reason that it doesn't support ultra widescreen. They debuted it at one of the game conventions on an ultra widescreen monitor. You can hex edit the thing and make it work on an ultra widescreen monitor, and it looks exactly the same.
That's funny.
Like there's no reason why that's not a feature in the game. None. But we had to put it out without that feature for no actual reason.
It's interesting. Games are one of those interesting things that like game prices have always been high, actually. Like even like Nintendo 64, back in Nintendo 64 days, games were $60 or more, just like they are nowadays.
I've been paying $60 for video games my whole life.
But it's because it's this kind of like inverse curve where like at the beginning the games were small and fairly simple, but there was not that many developers.
Right.
And then like as time went on, like games grew in complexity, but there was more developers and more tools, and so it got easier as like games got more complex. And I think we're getting to sort of an interesting point where I don't know if games are going to get that much easier to develop, but like inflation keeps going. And so I do need to give some credit where credit is due. I do think that there is, in some cases, not every single case, but I do think that there is some serious concern that like, hey, we're developing this game for 4 years. I don't know. We have no idea how many copies this thing is going to sell. So like,
So,
Like,
but that's the gamble, right? Like that's the
it's
gamble of
true.
making a video
It's
game.
true.
You don't know how popular your game is going to be. You don't know how much
How many it'll
clout you
sell?
have.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why we're just getting duplicates of old games.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Because they know they're gonna
I
sell.
I enjoyed playing Diablo 4, but it was basically Diablo 3 with upgraded graphics and like a slightly different gameplay.
Hey, well
It wasn't amazing.
that's a fascinating segue into another topic.
It like this is the gamble of games.
Mm-hmm.
This is why more companies are
Remaking.
remaking old games, or you've got the indie studios that just have smaller staffs that are taking longer to make better games. Like some of the better games that have come out in the last 5 years have been small studio games,
Mm-hmm.
or you have the other companies that are building games and then putting them out as like a early release.
Yeah.
Satisfactory is one of these games. I've been playing Satisfactory off and on for years. Every time they update it, I'll load the new update and play it. It used to have less features. Now it has more features. And they've built it as the thing has gone through the process, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's an Unreal game. Like that's a Unity game.
Is that
I'm pretty sure. Let's verify that.
Satisfactory? Is it Unity or is it
I'm pretty
Unreal?
sure Satisfactory is Unity.
Okay, I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. Satisfactory is that one's Unreal. That
Is
one's
that
actually
Unreal?
Unreal. Yeah.
Anyway, it's the same concept, right? You pay licensing fees. So the people that are, Coffee Stain Studios, right, paying licensing fees already to these engine manufacturers, and then I've paid for the game, and so now every time I download a patch or an update that adds more or opens up more of the engine functionality or whatever that is, now I'm going to pay again, or the game studio is going to pay again. Like none of that makes any sense. If your licensing model isn't making you enough money to pay your payments and keep your yacht floating, like then you're not charging the right amount of money. And I actually think that it would drive more developers to build engines that are outside of that licensing model. Like I really honestly think that the development community would be like, we can't even make games anymore unless somebody provides us with an engine that we can build games on that is less expensive, and then you'd get the new engine, which frankly might actually improve game situations, because then there'd be more people attempting to develop a new engine to get around the cost.
Are you trying to in a roundabout way tell the Linux community to develop an open source game engine that people can
get
just
in
use?
there, friends?
That is a big ask.
I understand, but I think you would drive development studios in that space.
Linux gaming would become a thing.
Like if Unity comes through with this process and they did back, like they're instantaneously going to get $1 billion check, because now we're back charging every game built in Unity. This is that's a ridiculous concept to even come through. So what are they going to do with it? They're going to just take the money. It's not like they're going to dump it into their engine to make it better. They're already paying money to make their engine better. What are they going to do? Hire 100 more developers to put their next gen engine online?
I guess it's possible.
Is that the reality though?
Well, being the cynic in this particular way, I would say no, but it's hard to believe that anybody charging any more for anything is actually making anything better. Like, I actually think that most of inflation. Wow, I am not an economist here, so I'm not. Like, please
listen,
do
the
not.
Price of the tacos is not what we're talking about.
Please do not quote me on any of this, but I actually believe that about 50 to 75% of inflation is that at a certain time, large, powerful groups of people decide that they need more money for something, and so they all start charging more for it at the same time.
Sure.
Rent being one of them. You are not paying any more for that mortgage on that apartment building than the day that you bought it or refinanced it, unless you refinanced it again and it made it more expensive for whatever reason. But other than that, like you are making the exact same amount of money off of those apartments as you were when you bought them 20 years ago. I mean, okay, so the cost of upkeep is slightly more.
that's if your 40-year-old apartment complex that you've remodeled 4 times has
Hasn't-
any kind of loan against
hasn't
it
been
anyway.
paid off anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The poor landlords. Like I see that. I see that all the time.
The reality is it's bad. It's bad economics
Yeah.
to think that you can remodel a thing, whether it's a game engine or a physical building,
Mm-hmm.
take a loan out from a bank and then charge your end user
Extra.
extra for.
Yeah.
Like at some point, the loan has to be smaller than it was originally,
Yeah.
or the buildings or the thing is worth more.
Yeah.
Like whether it's a game engine or a building,
Yeah.
it's the same. In my mind, it's the same economic process.
I think we've talked about things that I know nothing about for long enough now.
Maybe this will generate some controversy in the space because we're talking about things we don't know about.
Yeah. People will get mad at us for saying
So
stuff that we don't
get
understand.
mad.
Please, everyone in the comments,
like and subscribe.
tell us why we're wrong and stupid, because
If
we
we-
very likely are.
If we're wrong and stupid.
Okay. All right.